Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com, here with the Raw Edit of the Week. This is number 29, and I was going through the folder where you guys are sending your files, FroKnowsPhoto@gmail.com, and this photo came up, and it popped out at me, and it was like, hey, I want you to edit me. It's just like one of those shots where I was like, wow, that's interesting. It's a low angle. I didn't know anything else about it. The reader didn't submit their JPEG file as of now. I emailed them to see if they would, but I haven't gotten it yet, so I'm not sure we'll post it. But remember to send in your JPEG file. Keep in mind that this editing, it's all about learning and seeing what everybody else does so you can feel, get a feel for some different techniques, because I'd edit these files a little differently than how I would edit my own, just because I'm experimenting and trying to see what we come up with. But this photo was like interesting. It's kind of Games of Thornish. No, Games of Thrones. Anybody watch that? Because I like Game of Thrones. I'm really enjoying the show. I've never read the book. But anyway, we've got the windmill here. Let's look at what it's shot at. First, it's shot with a Nikon D300S. 1/3200th of a second at f2.2, ISO 200 with a 50mm 1.8. So let's think about this. Why 2.2? Well, I think 2.2 is a good place because 1.8 gets very shallow and can be very limiting. But 2.2 gives you a little bit of depth. And when you're shooting at something at a distance like this, you're going to get better depth of, well, not better depth of field, but something at a distance going to be in focus at 2.2 because it's all on the same plane. You can see that the windmill portion is a little bit out of focus, but we're sharp somewhere around here. Yeah, and you can see at 2.2, even this area is starting to fall out if this is the focus area. So what I liked about this image is the low angle. It's like they got either down in the grass literally or just this grass is really tall. I'm liking it. So I did notice that this line is slightly, but the horizontal, this is interesting. The ground and everything looks straight, but the building is leaning. So I'm not going to straighten it because then the ground is going to get misshapen. This could be an HDR shot for you HDR lovers out there. Again, it could be interesting to see how you would do this, but I'm not going to do that this time. Oh, I pumped up the contrast because I went boom with it. And look at that. I'm going to undo that for a second. But look at how the grass and everything just goes pop, boom. Look at that. It just gives it some more dimension. Do we want to warm it up? How warm do we want to go? So you could go this warm and you start getting that Canon-y look. Or you could go nice and blue and soft. I don't know where I want to put this yet. So I'm just going to leave it at that for now. You could always pump up your vibrance. You can always pump up your saturation, but it's probably not needed for this one. Could always also make your greens more or get rid of the greens, but I'm not going to do that to give it an old world look. I'm going to try again to be realistic. But black and white? No, I don't want, I could do it, but I don't want to do it. So let's see. Black levels, nah, too much. Got my contrast. You got the Mr. Phil light and then black levels. Little bit of the sky. Pulling back on that yellow because I like the feel of the blue more so than the yellow. So there we got the building is looking nice. There's the beginning of the raw file, and there's where we're at right now. Some clarity. That's if we pull back on clarity. This is if we pump up the clarity. Contrast again. Don't want to go too high because I don't want to lose all that detail. But we could play with Mr. Phil again, or Dr. Phil. And it's getting a little bit of a 3D feel. It's a very interesting photo. Let's see the blue in the sky. That's if I take it out. And then as we punch it up, I'm punching it up again. I don't want to go terribly too far. But I like the sky. I love how they maintain the sky and the detail. That's too much blue. Looked too fake. I don't want to be too fake. I don't like recovery slider. I know what's interesting about this photo is you guys are going to be able to take this so many different directions. I mean, you could sit here and edit this 15 different ways and still come up with 15 different edits. So definitely going to be interested to see what you come up with. And also, we got Adam coming up next again to see what he came up with this. Black and white? Black and white could be interesting, but I want to stick with the color. It's just a cool photo. I could just hang this on the wall, you know? This would be a cool looking canvas print. It would be a cool looking photo altogether. Let's see what we do if we knock the vibrance out a little bit. And then if we pump it up slightly. Let's see if we can bring this back. So I pumped up the vibrance a lot. Can I pull out yellow and make... Yes. The answer to that question is yes. Let's pull out some of this green and add some magenta. Boom. There we go. So yeah, now we're playing around. Going to use my general sharpening. This is where it started. You can almost see it pop out at you when you do this. So I'm going to leave it at that for right now. I think that's pretty good. And let's see what Adam does. Let's see if I tweak it again. Yeah, I'm going to go with that one. All right, Adam, you're up. I can't wait to see what you do. Let's see what you got.
All right, this week we have a very interesting landscape, and maybe that's a contradiction because this was shot in portrait mode. So is it a portrait of a windmill? No, it's well, yeah, maybe arguably it is, but however, it is a landscape, and often landscapes can be shot in portrait mode, whereas there are no rules. I think the photographer did a very interesting job in shooting it in landscape because it really breaks up the horizon line. You've got this defining line right here, not quite really adhering to the law of thirds, but again, there are no necessary rules. There are certain things that work better than others. There are certain laws like the laws of thirds, but those actual things don't always have to be followed. And I think that the photographer did a nice job. You can see that the way that the windmill is positioned, you've got the light coming in on this side, you've got some shadow over here, but it's not too much so that things are too dark. You've got the windmill at a nice point over here, and interestingly, when you zoom in, you see that there's this ancient grinding stone just leaning up over here. So you definitely get the sense that this is an ancient windmill tower. Maybe it was an ancient tower that was converted as a windmill. You can see that there is a power line over here. Hard to say. Guessing that this was probably shot somewhere in Europe, but obviously the photographer would know more about this. So what way are we going to go with this? Are we going to go color, black and white? Well, let's just quickly see what it looks like in black and white. And, you know, black and white's cool. It's a little flat for my taste. I think we could certainly boomify it to make it a cool black and white. But in this case, what I want to do is go color. And somehow this, to me, just screams kind of vintage. I want to make this look like potentially a vintage shot. So very first thing I want to do is pull out the C word. And yeah, it's going to be, there's going to be a crop here. And again, you know, cropping is something that I typically don't like to do. However, in this case, I think that this shot could benefit from a crop. So I'm going to do a 1-to-1 crop because I think as a square format shot, this could look really cool. So I'm just going to bring it up like that. I'm going to hit the R key to close the cropping module, and we're going to leave it like that. Now, if you look at it, you can see that the image is slightly skewed to the right. So I'm going to hit the R key again, and I just want to correct for that angle, and I'm just going to go to point -3. Sorry, I'm going to go to -0.3, and I'm going to leave it like that, and that's a little bit better. And again, we're moving fast here because we only have a little bit of time, so I'm going to leave it like that. And to go with this, I'm going to try to desaturate this a little bit. I'm not going to really pump up my blacks and pump up my contrast and pump things up. I'm actually going to pull things down. So the very first thing that I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to add some recovery. And as you can see, the recovery kind of just, you know, brings in some more of this kind of detail in the clouds and everything, and it also kind of gives it a little bit of a hazed look on it, which is kind of cool. We're trying to go for maybe like an old film look here. I'm actually going to bring my contrast down, and I'm going to do something like that. Okay, clarity, I'm not really going to touch for the moment. I'm going to bring the vibrance down a little bit, maybe to about there, and I'm actually going to desaturate it to about there. Now, look at that. That kind of has a cool vibe to it. Let's look at the original. Original, not dramatically different. However, this one has a little bit of a softer kind of a look to it. And one of the things that I found when I first saw this is that this image looked a little bit cool. So I'm going to go and I'm going to grab the white balance temperature, and I'm going to bring that up. and I'm going to kind of keep going there. And again, because we're going for a vintagey feel, you know, I think it's kind of cool to just maybe go a little bit exaggerated. I'm not going to go too crazy where, you know, it's something like that. However, I think that, you know, bringing it up a little bit to give it kind of like a warmish kind of a look like that is going to be very cool. So I'm going to leave it like that. Now, to really further, you know, achieve what I'm looking for, I'm going to grab the HSL and I'm going to pump up my yellows. I'm going to pump up my orange a little bit. Green, I'm just going to bring up just a touch. And the aqua and the blues, I'm going to actually bring the luminance down because I want some more of that kind of color in the sky. So I'm going to do something like that. Yep. And that to me has more of a vintage vibe. Sharpening, I'm not going to go too crazy. I'm just going to mask it off and just get the details sharpened like that. And yeah, I like the way the stone looks. I think that the grass looks kind of cool. The sky kind of has that vintage vibe to it. Vignetting, let's see. Do we want to add some vignetting? Well, you know, it's not such a bad thing actually. It's kind of cool. You know, being that the foreground is blurred out over here, you know, we could certainly add a little bit right there. And I'm not just doing this arbitrarily. I'm actually doing this because I think that it enhances the look of this image. So I'm going to just feather this out a little bit, obviously not make it look hokey if I can help it, and maybe leave it about there. I'm going to go to my before, and you know, look, this is a nice shot, very nice shot, but to me, I wanted to try to make this, you know, maybe more interesting, let's say. Let's see what happens if we mess with the contrast. Okay, yeah. See what I'm. Nah, that's no good. I'm not liking that. And I'm going to bring the contrast down. Yeah, it's too fuzzy. So you know what? I'm going to keep it about where it was, about there. I think that that's fine. And I'm going to leave the blacks. Maybe just bring them just up a hair like that. But you know, we've lost a little bit of detail in here, but we still retain the detail here. This is kind of gone. I don't really want to try to get that back. I think that would be too contrived. Maybe just add just a hair of exposure, you know, just something like that. Nah, actually, you know what? I'm going to leave it like that. Here's my before, here's my after. That's my edit. Back to you, Jared.
All right, here we go. We have two edits. We've got mine on the left. We've got Adam's this week on the right. Adam, what did you you decided to go this direction? What reasons for that?
Well, I saw this and I started seeing some really interesting detail. The thing that really struck me was this this grinding stone, this ancient grinding stone. And when I started looking at it in that, you know, close up like that, I realized, you know, I actually wanted to see more of the windmill and less of the foreground. And to me, it just, you know, screamed square crop.
Sure. And you went with like an older world feel for an edit. This isn't something you would normally do if it was yours, would it? Or is it just you were just playing around?
I don't think I would normally do something like this, and I wouldn't say I was just playing around. I just felt that, you know, maybe kind of an older world film vintagey look would have been nice.
Sure.
And you know, went that way because I initially actually was, you know, did an edit that was more in the direction of yours. And then I thought to myself, yeah, you know, it's cool, but I wanted to push it a different way.
Sure, and like I said in my video, it's that I said I could go pretty much 12 different ways with my photo. There's so many different ways you could edit this, and that's what's going to be great when we open up this raw file to everybody and see what you come up with, because you know, it's kind of unlimited what you could do with this photo. You know, Adam threw a square crop in there. It looks great. I stayed and tried to go a little more realistic with my edit, just to see what I could do with making it go pow. But then the HDR people can come out of the woodworks and definitely get a strong HDR, because this would work well in HDR. You know,
definitely, if
some people like that. And you know, there's so many different things you could do, and it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, with mine, Adam, I didn't go black and white. I thought about it for like a split second, and then was like, I'm not gonna do it, because it is meant to be in color, and I think it's a strong image that it's going to be interesting to see what everybody comes up with.
Right, and for me, you know, I felt that by bumping up, you know, saturation and luminance, you were going to get kind of Simpsons looking sky, which, I feel like the sky in yours is a little bit too kind of aqua. And, I thought about the black and white. And one of the things that I even addressed in my video was that, there's a lot of laws in photography, there's a lot of rules, but, they're all meant to be broken.
Yeah.
And, for what I did here is like I wanted to desaturate. I wanted to get like this kind of grayish blue sky. I wanted to look a little bit muted. Let the subject really stand on its own.
Sure.
And, lose some of this foreground, which I think looks great. I mean, I love the way that this was shot. I just think that, there's so much of it, like particularly like the lower third could just automatically be hacked off.
Sure. Yeah, it's interesting, and you're definitely right. I went more of the realistic route, or it's mostly realistic with a little bit of punch into the sky.
Right.
I feel that mine on the left gives it more of a three-dimensional look. And the one on the right's a little flatter, but that's because
Absolutely.
It's the way it's edited. But definitely saw the old world thing, and I think I did that in my edit for like a split second. I was like, yeah, this is more of an older, if we went Canon-y, you know how those Canon edits tend to look. So I did that for a little bit, but
I mean, one thing I'll say is that the edit that I did was obviously done very, very quickly. Would this be my final edit if I were to deliver this or to use it in another context? Probably not. I probably would spend a bit more time on it. But for what it is, I like where this is headed. I like that it does, in my opinion, have kind of like that older film kind of faded vintage look.
Right, and now that I'm looking at mine on the left more, it looks kind of like a Claritin commercial. It's like yours is the one side, and it's like, Claritin. Now Claritin free. Go take your eyes into HD because you do not have a lot of allergies. Except,
Right.
I mean, it's because it could be an allergy commercial photo.
Yeah, on the right side is what happens when your eyes are all clouded
Oh,
up.
it's all cloudy. My eyes hurt, and
Oh, yeah, it burns. It burns.
now I do Claritin, and oh, look, it opened up a whole new world of a field. I'm normally
so
allergic to
bright.
grass, but
So
now I'm
bright.
not allergic, and my eyes don't itch. I'm gonna roll in the grass.
I can run up and scream it from the top of my tower.
I love my tower. So yeah, that's about it. I mean, sorry for the Claritin commercial. They're not paying me yet.
No, this is really a beautiful photograph. I think it's really well done. One of the things I loved is that, the way that the light is hitting, the face of the windmill.
Sure.
And the way that the blades are positioned. I mean, I really think that a lot of thought went into this, and it's really nicely done.
Yeah, and the last thing before we wrap it up, I was just gonna say something about your edit, and now I can't remember what I was gonna say about your.
You just
edit.
love it that much.
No, it was. I can't think of what I was gonna say. I lost it. But it's just one of those files for all you guys out there that it's going to be really cool to see what you come up with, because there could be 50 different variations of this one photo, and I don't think many people are going to go in the same direction, because you could do something with the sky. I mean, you could just do so many things with it.
Absolutely. You go HDR, you could go black and white. One other alternative that I thought about, and it's again one of these things that can either go really, really well or can go really, really weird, is to do like an infrared conversion where you have like really super black sky, and you have the white of the blades of the windmill that really pop, and the
Sure.
stone and the detail coming out. And it'd be awesome to see somebody do something like that. Maybe put that up on the forum as well.
Yeah. All right, Adam. Thank you for your edit, man.
All right, man. Thanks.
All right, guys. So this is Raw Edit of the Week 29. Let's see what you guys can do with it. You can download it from the forum. You must be signed into the forum to get access to the raw files and all of the raw files in the past. And you can all submit raw images to fronosphoto@gmail.com. Be sure to have your original edit sent in so that if we do select it, we can put it up against whoever is editing them to see how it looks. So that is about it. Adam, thanks one more time.
Thanks, Jared.
All right, Jared Poland, fronosphoto.com. See ya!